just leave it on there.
I may drink some.
All right. Ross Mitchell. Glad to have you on the podcast, man.
Been waiting all week.
I know you have been. I know you're excited. So we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. I'm really looking forward to. But before we get kind of into where you're at now and, you know, college baseball and all that fun stuff, let's go back to where you grew up in Tennessee. What was life like for you growing up in Tennessee?
Pretty normal.
Yeah.
I mean, grew up in Smyrna, just outside of Nashville. Always loved sports. My dad played baseball. My uncle played baseball. So grew up just wanting to do the same things they did. So kind of grew a love and passion for that. We grew up in the church. I guess back then we would go on Saturday night sometimes.
Oh, really?
And then we'd go Wednesday, Sunday, and playing in the neighborhood, something that's kind of foreign these days.
Mm-hmm.
Just going down the street to a friend's house, and we'd do nightly, it's called jailbreak, kind of like a hide-and-seek type game.
Yeah.
Something again, unheard of. Cops would get called on immediately nowadays if some kids are in your backyard at 8:30 at night. But just grew up just probably like most people do in just a normal suburb.
Yeah, we used to play Spotlight. Did y'all used to play that?
We were a little. We did when we were really little, and then we kind of grew up.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. That's for the little kids.
Yeah,
huh?
that's right.
That's one of the things I really like about the neighborhood we live in now is there's a lot of kids out riding their bikes and outside playing, and that's something that I want for my girls to be able to get out and play.
Mm-hmm.
So your dad and your uncle play baseball. What level did they get to?
So they both made it to the majors.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, my dad, he played for probably half a season with the Red Sox.
Cool.
Uncle played with the Mets. I'm 95% sure he played with them when they won the World Series.
Oh, really?
I don't think he was in the World Series. Maybe he was. I don't know.
So,
apparently, he hadn't got his World Series ring yet.
He still hadn't got it. He's still waiting on it. What position did they play?
They were both pitchers.
Oh, cool. Were they lefty or righty?
Both right-handed.
Both right-handed. So how old did your dad play in the majors before you were born, or had you been born at that point?
So this is rough memory. I'm pretty sure he retired from Major League Baseball or got let go whenever my sister was born, and she's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
I do know I lived in Italy for 6-7 months when he played.
He played in
Italy.
Really?
So that was when I was just born. I don't even think I was one yet.
Do you know what part of Italy that was?
Bologna.
Yeah?
Yeah. So there's a dish that my mom cooks that she learned how to make there.
Really?
It would take her all day. She'd make the pasta noodles from scratch, and it was like when the sauce was ready, you better be ready to eat because once it cools down, I don't know. It's just there was a big process to it, but every time I'd come home from college, I'd make her get in the kitchen and get to work.
So my sister played professional softball in Italy for a year, and we went over there to visit. And there was actually a guy I played baseball with in college who played over there professionally in Italy. And it's just a whole nother culture over there, man. It's a lot of fun.
I don't remember much.
Yeah, I bet you don't. Yeah, a little bit. You remember a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So what did your dad do after he got done playing baseball?
So I think he went and worked for FedEx almost immediately. Mm-hmm. He retired from there maybe a year ago.
Oh, wow. So he
put in a lot of years there, and now he's retired.
Cool. So you obviously baseball was a huge part of your life. With your dad and your uncle. Did your uncle live close by too? Yeah,
so they lived a street away.
Oh, cool.
So if I really wanted some advice I'd listen to, I'd go to his house and pitch. Just because I was, like every kid, I'm experiencing it with my son now. Had a conversation with my wife, Massey, yesterday, and I was like, I know a lot about baseball, but if we want him to, pick up on anything and listen, we probably just gonna have to get lessons
because he's not gonna listen to you.
We did try to throw in the yard yesterday. I bought him a new glove, and he wanted to use the tennis ball. I was like, I promise I won't throw it near your head. I promise. And of course, one ricochets off his glove, hits him in the chin barely, and we were done.
That was it. It reminds me of Sandlot when he's playing catch with his dad and goes through his glove and gets a black eye. So you didn't really have much of a choice but to be a baseball player, huh?
I probably had a choice. Like my brother, he didn't play very long, and he just wasn't as into it.
Was he younger than you?
A little bit.
A little bit younger.
But it was just something that I have a cousin that my parents are like, y'all are like the same person. Just all we wanted to do was just get a ball and do something active with it.
And just play. Are y'all close to the same age?
Well, I say cousin, nephew.
Okay. Nephew. Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So at what point did you really start to think, hey, I'm pretty good at this sport?
Not really ever. I mean, in high school, I was good, but I wasn't anything special. I could locate and I would get outs, but I wasn't nothing about me was better than anybody else. I didn't throw harder than most people. I didn't have some sort of crazy curveball or anything like that. I just was able to kind of succeed and get outs, and never really had dreams to play SEC baseball. I did want to try to play college at some point. Was originally just recruited by Belmont. There was a guy that would come to like every one of my games, and didn't have anything really higher than that kind of level on my, as something that I thought would be possible. And then one day I just get a random letter in the mail from Coach Thompson, who was a pitching coach at Mississippi State, which, backstory a little bit, I guess, Bo McInnes, which is an agent for a lot of Mississippi State players, Vanderbilt players. He's based out of Nashville. He was my uncle's agent.
Okay.
Bo was the student manager when Coach Cohen was at State playing. So they had a good relationship. Cohen's office was donated by Bo, so there was a big connection there. So we would see Bo. He was David Price's agent.
Yeah.
David Price went to the same high school as me.
What high school was that?
It was Blackman.
Okay.
In Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So David, we would, go watch him on Friday nights at Vanderbilt. I grew up a big Tennessee fan, but Vanderbilt baseball was kind of like nobody knew any of the baseball players. That was just another sport on campus. Like if you followed Tennessee, you cared about their football team and their basketball team.
Right.
And then baseball is just another sport. But Vanderbilt baseball was just kind of like, that was my goal.
And back then it was, they were rocking and rolling. They were top of the SEC for a while there.
So we'd go watch him play, and then I guess Bo had just kind of heard about me and just kind of told Coach Thompson about me, and I got a letter in the mail one day from him and a little questionnaire, and just kind of took me by surprise, but I filled it out and sent it back, and he called me, and they came to a game one summer. I guess it was my junior year, in between maybe my sophomore and junior year.
Going into junior year.
Maybe so. I can't remember exactly, but played some team that wasn't very good apparently and struck out like 8 or 9 batters, which I wasn't a strikeout pitcher, and they asked me to come on a visit and offered me there, so it was kind of crazy.
Wow.
But to tell you how good I was whenever I was a senior in college, it wasn't a very good year, but we were having just a meeting with the team. It was just the pitchers, maybe like 6 or 7 of us there at the time, and he was like, "Hey, your senior year in high school, I had coaches in the area call me and say, 'Are you sure?' Like they were basically trying to get me to not recruit you.
Are you sure you want this
even
guy?
I think even like I don't know if I've ever heard of that, but there was not like this push of like, yeah, this guy can do it.
They're like, are you sure you want this guy?
This guy's like, he's okay, but he's not, SEC material. And then he was like, in my first year there, I wasn't that great. And he was like, I used to pray every night how I was going to let you go.
Really?
I was like, well, I'm glad God didn't answer that prayer.
He didn't answer that prayer. So baseball is such a funny sport compared to football and basketball, because I really feel like if one guy really believes in you, that you can get a chance. And that sounds like it was basically one guy that really wanted to take a chance on you. So before you got into that level where you're getting recruited, what was baseball like for you? Were you doing travel ball a lot? Were you doing all-star? At what point did you really kind of start getting to where you were kind of getting into a high level playing?
Yeah, so mostly just typical what you probably grew up doing. You played rec ball till you were 10 at least. And at the end of the year, if you'd play for the all-star team and go do 1 or 2 tournaments with your all-star team. And then at about 11 and 12 was when we kind of formed a little travel team. And it was just a lot of it was just guys from my all-star team that we kind of had played in those little tournaments together and just kind of said, hey, we're going to make a little team out of this, and kind of built that till you're in high school. And once you got into high school, a lot of it was playing with your high school team in the summer. And then I think between my junior and senior year, maybe I was able to go play with like a little travel team, but it's nothing like today. No. I mean, my son doesn't even really, he's not obsessed with baseball now. He's just about to turn 7. And we just like this week are like, yeah, we're in, a little 7-year-old travel team.
So you're on a travel
and it's crazy because travel ball is fun, especially when you're with families that you enjoy doing it with. So it's like, I guess we know who we're going to be playing with, so we know it'll be a good experience. But at the same time, you're just like so used to what you grew up doing. You're like, this is just insane.
We did almost the exact same thing. We did the rec and then all-star, and then after our 11-year-old season, we ended up leaving and starting a select team, I guess was what we would call it back then, and then did that. And then in high school, we played on high school and then summer ball. And then there was like some, select teams for high school guys that I played on a little bit as well. But it wasn't that long ago, and it's changed so drastically now, and they're playing so much. And I don't have a son. Hopefully one day I will have to make that decision on. You want them, if they want to play the sport, you want to give them the opportunity to succeed, but also you don't want to burn them out or have them playing year round or get hurt. And so it's such a interesting time. All right, so you go. So how did you do in your high school career pitching wise?
I don't know really career numbers. I know I had the most wins at the time at the school.
Cool.
David Price would say that's because he didn't make the playoffs. So I had a couple extra.
So you have more wins than
I had
David
a couple extra games in a season. So
do you know him?
Yeah, he follows me on Twitter still.
Okay.
I don't know if I don't really post anymore, so that's probably why he still follows me. But just vaguely, I mean, through Bo and through Blackman, just small conversations here and there. I ended up beating Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament and my first freshman year, and he gave me a little shout out. So
nice.
I was like, I'll take that.
Yeah. So you beat his high school wins record. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I think it was only like 9 or something. So I mean,
so you had a pretty good high school career, and then you get recruited to Mississippi State, and then all the other guys in your area are like, this guy doesn't need to be playing at Mississippi State.
No, and when I got there, I felt the same way.
Really?
I was like, I'm smaller than literally everybody out here. You're just looking around at the older guys that have already developed and grown, and you're just like, man, I feel misplaced, But,
yeah, so what was that like stepping on campus your freshman year, going through that?
Yeah, I mean, I felt misplaced, but also still felt confident, like, in my ability. So it wasn't like it was a more of looking around and just looking at myself compared to them and just being like, I'm on a different level. But when it came to actually getting on the field and playing, there wasn't that same mentality. So I still felt confident that I was able to perform there, but just kind of had an eye-opening experience of like, man, these are some dudes.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
So was there a memorable moment in like a fall practice or anything where you made a good pitch and somebody just hammered it?
Not really. Wes Ray claims that this one ball went way further over the fence than I recall it going, and this was like when we were in our red shirt little practices that we'd do. But I can't ever remember just that one moment where you're like, oh boy, that ball was just absolutely crushed.
So you got redshirted your freshman year?
Yeah, I redshirted, and it was a good thing for me. I needed to get in the weight room and really just get a year to build some confidence and kind of just develop a little bit more.
So what was that year, redshirt year, like? So you're like practicing with the team, but you're also not traveling. You got a lot more free time. You know, what were you doing that year?
During the season, I don't think we were really practicing with the team much. It was more of we had like 5 or 6 of us that we would do little game scenarios where we'd throw on the mound and they would, do live hitting, and we'd do our own little workout separately. So we were kind of isolated to a degree from the rest of the team. Once the spring started and they were playing every day. So, but it was good. Probably just allowed you to get more reps in as well, instead of being, the back of the line trying to get your reps in when you could, like you were getting a full day rep in. So you were able to develop a little bit more than you would otherwise.
Did you go play summer ball?
Yeah, I played my first year. I played in Nashville with a team, and it was fun. Didn't have just a great year with them. Was, kind of disappointed afterwards, because I was like, I know the coaches are looking at the stats and are like, well, he didn't do very good this past fall. Now he's not doing good this summer. So, it was just kind of frustrating, because I felt like I could have done a little better, and played in Alaska my next year. And then that was the last year I played any sort of summer ball.
So you kind of shut it down after that?
Yeah, after that year, I was throwing so many outings and innings, and I was like, I really like to make a little bit of money.
So going into your redshirt freshman year at State, you had kind of been there a year. You kind of got your feet under you. Knew the team, knew the coaches. Did you have any expectations going into that season?
Not really. So you're talking about the year after my red shirt going into my next year. Yeah. So I had basically talked to after the fall, another kind of mediocre fall, and the coaches kind of have an individual meeting with everybody and before we go to Christmas break, and they were talking to me and they said, hey, I knew it was coming. They were trying to. I was on scholarship, so they're like, we got to get this guy off scholarship.
Oh, wow.
So they're like, hey, you're probably not going to pitch much at all this year. We'd be happy to kind of find you a junior college that you could go to, get some innings in, and see how that goes, and then possibly come back. And I probably made them so mad when I left that room, because I was like, honestly, if I don't pitch much, that's fine with me. Like, I love going to school here, so I'll just stay.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sure they were looking at each other when I left that meeting. They're like, we really need to get rid of this guy. That's probably when Coach Thompson started praying.
How can I get this guy off my team?
But so that first couple weekends, I didn't pitch any, kind of like they said. And we had a game against Memphis. There was a big rain delay, and then the game finally started, and it was bases loaded, nobody out. And they said, all right, you're in. I was like, man, they really are trying to get rid of me.
Let's put them in the worst possible situation.
Yeah, so I think the first guy hit a ground ball to Wes Ray. He was playing in, threw it home, back to first, double play, and then I struck a guy out on a pitch like 8 inches off the plate and got out of it, and I was like, here we go.
That's awesome. So you came in and got 3 guys out, and then how did the rest of the season progress from there?
So the next game I pitched, I think it was against maybe Lipscomb or something, a team that I kind of grew up knowing, and because they were in the Nashville area, had a good inning there. And then at that year we would do, it was weird. So Ben Bracewell, one of my teammates, he would pitch like 2 or 3 innings, and then Chris Stratton would come in and finish the game. He was like our starter, but he didn't come in until like the 3rd or 4th inning. I don't know. So Ben was kind of hurt, and this was our last weekend series before SEC started. And they called me in the office, and they're like, hey, you're starting on Friday night. And I've had 2 innings at this point, and I was like, heck yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, Mom, Dad, you can come to Starkville now.
So you had 2 college innings under your belt, and then all of a sudden you're the Friday night starter.
Yeah, so this is like the 4th week in the series, and so I get out there. I think I gave up. I somehow had bases loaded at some point, got out of it, and I don't know if that was the first inning or second inning, but the next inning I think I had 350 miles per hour worth of balls put in play, but they were all 3 outs. So nobody scored, got out of the inning, and then Chris Stratton came in the 3rd and finished the game.
Wow.
And then so the next weekend we're playing LSU, and at LSU. So in my head I'm like, I may be starting Friday night at LSU. So I really thought that. I was like, I think I could be starting Friday night at LSU. So we go to Southeast Louisiana to play them as spring break kind of weekend. So we kind of made a little pit stop. And thankfully I put my cleats on, because in my head I'm still thinking, I ain't even pitching today. They're saving me for Friday. And one of our players tore his elbow up, and so they called me from the dugout, and I was like, all right, I'm glad I know where my glove and hat is. So I went in and pitched and didn't throw an inning at LSU. Chris Stratton ended up starting. Him and Kevin Gosman had this elite showdown. I think Stratton had 17 strikeouts through like 8 or 9 innings. Gosman, we knew every pitch he was throwing, he was tipping them. We still couldn't hit him, and ended up losing in extra innings. But needless to say, I didn't throw any that weekend, even though I thought I was the Friday night guy.
So you thought, I had this great 2-inning outing. I'm the Friday night guy now.
That's right.
So did you keep pitching the rest of that freshman season?
So I didn't pitch the first 3 weekends. I didn't travel.
SEC ball.
Didn't travel to Arkansas, or no, maybe Auburn. Was left at home, so you can only take, at least then, you could only take so many people on a road trip. And then we played at home, and I ended up getting to pitch an inning or 2. I don't remember how the rest of that season went, but I know I pitched in every weekend series from that point on. I was
coming in on relief,
pitching in relief. I would usually come in after Stratton on Friday, so he'd throw 7 innings at 95 miles an hour, and I'd throw 1 or 2 at 82, and went through it. I think going into Alabama, I had a pretty long stretch of scoreless innings, so I had a good year. And my thing that I was most proud of that year is I didn't give up a single run for another reliever or starter that whole year. So if I came in, I was able to protect their run from scoring.
Teammates love that.
Yeah, I could always tell them that, but that wasn't the case throughout my whole career, but at least my freshman year.
Yeah. So then freshman year went better than I think your coaches expected, honestly. Did you think you were going to get to pitch that much that season?
No, not really. I did develop a new pitch that one of the coaches kind of showed me. It was called a one-seam fastball, which more than anything, I think it just gave me confidence that I just felt like I was able to, compete with it. And that just kind of carried that season. And I think the Lord was kind of behind a lot of it because, again, I never felt like I had elite stuff or stuff that was better than anybody else, but I did have a good mindset of like what I was trying to do when I was out there. I wasn't trying to be somebody I wasn't. I knew I wanted to get people in swing mode and then be in the zone enough to where they're going to swing outside of the zone and swing early, and get them to hit the pitch that I want them to versus having to, come to them. And I think that was kind of led to a lot of my success.
Yeah. And so then you went to play at Alaska that summer. How did that go for you?
Not great. I mean, I didn't pitch that good there. I tried to, in my head, I was like, I want to go to Alaska and start and see if I could be a starter, because everybody wants to be a starter in college. It's just kind of, that's what you did in high school. So when you get to college, you're like, I'm a starter. Like, that's my goal, is to get to that point. And so I tried to do that in Alaska, and didn't have just a whole lot of success. So when I got back, I mean, the conversation didn't really ever go there.
So you just decided at that point in your head that you were just going to be a relief guy. So you're going into your on-the-field sophomore year at this point, and you had a really good freshman year. What were your expectations going into that season?
I think I was still confident, had a good fall, just was able to continue to kind of do a lot of the same things I was doing. So I don't know expectations if I put any on myself per se, but I did feel like I could continue to be successful at that level.
And so how did that sophomore season go?
Pretty good. That was the year I went 13-0.
Wow.
It takes a lot of luck to get to that point. I mean, you come in good situations. Like, I probably got 3 or 4 wins where I came in the 4th inning with 2 outs, you know. And then I also got saved a few times from, where we may have came back and got the lead or whatever it may be. But it was kind of the year that everybody remembers, just because, 13-0 is a pretty large number of wins without a loss. And that was the year we went to Omaha, got to pitch there 3 times, got a win there, but also pitched in the championship, the last game of the season, and didn't throw very well. So, that's just baseball. You have good games, you have bad games, and you just go out there and just try to do what you do.
What was that experience like playing in Omaha?
It's pretty cool. I mean, being a baseball player growing up, you watch it on TV, and it's just like, man, that is awesome. But you never actually you would love to be there, but you never actually think it's like something that you're ever going to do. So then you actually find yourself there, and it's just like, man, I wanted to do this, but I never actually thought I would, but here I am.
Yeah.
And so just the whole experience, it's just all centered around the players. And so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And so that was the year y'all went to the national championship, right? And who did y'all lose to? UCLA.
Yeah.
And it was a 3-game.
No, well, we lost both.
Oh, you lost both
the
games.
First 2, yeah.
So at this point, your college career has to be going probably a lot better than you expected, and definitely better than the coaches expected. What was going through your head? You got 2 more years left. Were you thinking about, man, I might be able to play professionally, or were you just kind of living in the moment at that time?
At this point, not really. It wasn't really till after my junior year that I even kind of started to think about that. I did, kind of had some conversations with Bo McInnes, because we knew him as a family friend after my junior year, and just asked him, like, am I silly for thinking I could go, get signed by somebody, and like, what could my number be that's realistic? And he was honest with me. He's like, look, you're probably not going to get signed. If you do, it's probably not going to be for much. But if you get in the system and you get outs, you'll keep moving up. That's it. If you can get outs, you'll be fine. And that was a conversation I had after my junior year, because I had kind of some leverage, they would say. And I had a few conversations with some scouts, and I think at that point I enjoyed the college experience. I had a girlfriend at the time that I knew I wanted to marry, and so I didn't want to just I wanted to go play if I had enough money to think about having a wife and starting a family. Yeah. And so my number was higher than most people would have valued me at, and I knew that. Yeah. But instead, somebody drafted Johnny Manziel instead of me.
Yeah, that definitely did happen. So, what was your major when you were in college?
Business management, and then because I was a fifth year, and I just
MBA.
kind of got a marketing as like a second.
Oh, so you got a second major.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
But I basically had to take 2 more classes of what I'd already had, with my business management.
Did you have any idea of what you might be doing if you didn't play baseball at that point?
Just like after baseball, no clue. Yeah. Well, I thought I was going to go coach baseball with East Coast Baseball as a summer organization that I worked for in the off seasons to make my money. And I went to go ask my wife's dad if I could marry her. And when I left that conversation, I was like, well, I'm not coaching baseball anymore.
So why is that? What did he say?
Well, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'll actually get paid until the summer. And it's just like, I don't actually make any money in the off. And I was, when I started saying it out loud to him, I was like, but I may try something. Maybe I'll do something else.
You immediately realized like this is not going very well.
It wasn't that he like said that wasn't a good idea, but as I started to say it, I was like, oh, but I don't know. I might do this, I'll probably just move here and start looking for a job.
So you met your wife in college.
Mm-hmm.
When did y'all start dating?
2013.
So what year was that?
So that was February. That was my redshirt sophomore year when we went to Omaha. So
okay.
She was able to go there for that.
Cool. And so when did you ask her dad if you could marry her?
Sometime in there after during like the summer of my senior year.
Okay. On the field or when you still had another year left of baseball?
I still had another year left. So, well, it was actually I proposed to her. We were playing LSU. Mm-hmm. It's our last home series of my senior year, and I had this miraculous, well thought out dinner at the Rose Garden. And it's just a little place on campus. I had a friend that was going to be the waitress, another friend that had made a 5-course meal, and then another friend taking photos. So I had this all set up, and then after we're going to go to the grill and celebrate with friends and family. So we're playing at LSU. I come in, we're up. I get 2 quick outs, and I'm like, man, this is going to be the greatest day ever. I'm about to finish the game on, my last home game ever. I'm going to go get engaged, and this is just the best day ever.
Uh-huh.
Next thing you know, I'm not in the game anymore. It's anyway, we were up like 2 or 3. Next thing you know, it's a tie game, and we're in extra innings. And it's like the 12th inning, and I'm sitting in the dugout thinking, I don't know how we're going to make it to the grill. I was like, this
is messing my plans up.
This went from the best day ever to now I'm like, I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this off. And I'm just stressing, not because of the game at this point. We were not good that year. We didn't even make the SEC tournament, but I'm just thinking about the rest of the night. Ended up getting, I don't even know if we won or lost that game, but we just made it just in time to do all the
So you were able
stuff.
to get it off, and she said yes and everything.
That's right.
So you had 2 more years. Let's go back to the baseball real quick. You had 2 more years left. Tell me about your junior year. How did that go?
Yeah, so it started out a lot like my other years. Like I was a kind of a long reliever guy. I can remember every year. I can say this because he's made a lot of money in the big leagues. But Brandon Woodruff was supposed to be our Friday night guy after Chris Stratton had left after my freshman year or redshirt freshman year. But for some reason, he just could never it never clicked for him in college. So that first game of the season, Friday night, Brandon started. I think I threw 8 innings that day. So it was just kind of like, this is what we're used to.
A real long reliever.
Yeah, I would come in and throw as many as I need to. But so we kind of had a struggle. We kind of struggled a little bit early on that year. I was throwing pretty good. And then we went to Georgia to play. And they ended up saying, hey, we're going to start you tonight. Or I think it was a doubleheader. We had lost the Friday night game, and I was going to pitch. We had a doubleheader on Saturday, and they said, hey, you're going to pitch. So I was like, all right, well, we'll do it. So I ended up throwing a complete game 136 pitches.
Oh my gosh.
And that was my first start, and I ended up starting the rest of that season. I started out my career, I think 18-0, and then I got my first loss in Arizona that year against, I think, UC Santa Barbara. So I did take my first hit, and ended up, as a starter, you're going to get it's a lot more volatile as far as, you'll have a good game, you'll have a bad game, and you're kind of there to kind of wear some of the punches. And they can't get you out as quickly. So I did get some. I think I ended up with maybe 5 losses that year or something like that total, but had a pretty good year overall. We went to Louisiana Lafayette that year for our regional. They lost to Jackson State on their first game, the 1-4 seed. We beat San Diego State, so we're feeling pretty good. At the SEC tournament, I kind of just threw a little sidearm throw, and my bicep tendon had flipped, so I hadn't really been able to throw much before because it messed something up in my arm. And but I was able to pitch against Lafayette the first game that we played them, and I felt pretty good. It didn't really bother me, but they came out pretty aggressive and got some runs on us and ended up taking 2 in a row from us, which we would have gone to Oxford and played our super regional if we had won that. So that would have been pretty intense.
That would have been really cool.
Right?
I remember that. That would have been quite a super regional. So y'all got knocked out, and then you move on to your senior year, and you said y'all just didn't perform very well that year.
No, and people always say that's the year the balls changed, and kind of give me a little out, I guess, kind of make me feel like it wasn't my fault. But I didn't have a very good year that year. I went back to a bullpen role after that, and just struggled. It felt like the balls were finding holes that they used to not find. Ground ball would be right between 2 guys. If we would have played the shift like they play now, maybe it would have been a whole different year. Who knows? But every team's different. We didn't have Holder anymore, and when you have a closer that can win you a game, it just changes the team's whole mindset. We didn't have that, and I don't think State had that this year. And you could see at the end of the year how it kind of that's why they couldn't win those big games. And so we just had a team that knew how to lose, and if there was a way, we were going to find it.
Snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Huh?
That's right. We were so good at finding ways to lose. I think we actually did end up winning this game. But I can recall a ball that was hit off the wall. The guy could have walked into home plate, but instead he pulls his hamstring rounding third. And you're just like, well, we're going, it's just we found ways to lose that year.
So at this point you finished up. Were you still considering playing pro ball, or were you pretty much done with it at that point?
I kind of made my decision that, I wanted to get married, I knew the writing on the – I didn't see anybody – after Jamie Moyer retired, there wasn't anybody that threw in the 80s anymore, especially not even the low 90s almost. And I was just like, I could spend 5-6 years just grinding for a dream that's most likely not going to happen, or I can start my career and try to, start a family and work to be able to provide. So I kind of made that decision pretty quick. My uncle called me right after I started my first job. I was at the Face and Body Center doing marketing. He called me. I think it was the first week I was there. He's like, hey, I can't remember what team it was, but this team wants to sign you to a little 12-day contract. And I'm like, if you would have asked me last week, I would have done it. But I just started this job. I feel like I can't ask for 2 weeks off already. So I declined it, and my boss ended up finding out about it later on. She was like, I would have let you do that. I was like, well, I was too scared at the time. So that was kind of – I had a free agent opportunity that I could have signed, but I didn't want to – I just know how much of a grind it is.
Yeah. So looking back on your college career, obviously you had a tremendous career. What are some of the memories that really stick out? I know for people that play baseball at a higher level, a lot of the stuff you remember is the stuff off the field, the stuff in the dugout, the road trips or anything. Are there any moments that really stick out to you that were really memorable and something you look back on fondly? Yeah,
I mean, my biggest accomplishment, I think I got a base hit. I was my senior year. It was the first weekend of the season. Back then we would play a Friday night game, 2 Saturday games, and a Sunday, and there would be like 3 teams that we'd kind of play 2 against each team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd pitched the first game of the Saturday doubleheader, so I knew I wasn't going to pitch again that day. We were beating Cincinnati pretty bad, and that's who we were playing, and we had used all our at that time we had one guy that kind of pitched and hit, and he had been DHing, but then he went into pitch. So I was like, all right. And then another pitcher came in, so that kills the DH spot. So I'm kind of watching this play out. I was like, all right, we've used all our hitters at this point. There's 2 guys that have not hit yet, and I'm pretty sure they're redshirting this year. So I was like, I don't think they're going to actually – I was like, I think they're going to redshirt. So I don't think they'll be risk putting them in the game. So I recall putting my helmet. I got my cleats on.
You just volunteered.
I got a helmet. I got a bat, and I just stood by Coach Cohen and Coach Thompson. I was like, I know what's going on. You got to have a pitcher hit. I'm ready. So Coach Thompson's like, you could tell he didn't want to do it. He's like, just let him do it.
Yeah, at this point, he's just like, man, I'm ready for this guy to get out of here. He's been grinding me this whole time.
Cohen's like, do not run over 70% to first base. I'm like, I have a better chance of getting hurt trying not to run normal than if I just run normal. So I get on deck, and I'm just, the feeling. You're just shaking. You get cold all of a sudden. You're like, why am I so cold? And I remember Jacob Robson was up to bat. He had no clue I was on deck, and he struck out. And he turned around, and you could just see this look on his face, like, what in the world is going on?
Ross, what are you doing?
And we were playing in these old school. They were these old school uniforms. We used to get a new uniform every day almost, but it was like the sleeves went down halfway down your arm. It was like the old school style baseball hat the Yankees used to wear, like baggy pants. So I'd get up there, and my best friend growing up, he was there. He went to Tennessee to be a bullpen catcher, and somehow ended up getting a jersey. He wasn't very good. Like, I hit for him in college. They would, when I pitched, or in high school when I pitched, they would DH for the catcher and let me hit for myself. But he got a base hit, and we always had this. He didn't make the basketball team. I did, and we were best friends, but he just hated me for always trying to one up him.
Yeah.
So he was there. He was 1 for 1 in college with a base hit. He was, he had that against me. And I remember I got first pitch was a fastball strike, and I was like, all right, I've seen it now. Next pitch, I just hit a line drive over shortstop, get to first base. I'm just like ecstatic, pumped, and somebody's running on the field to come pinch run for me, and I get in the dugout, and they're like, man, you got you an RBI too. I'm like, I didn't even know there was a runner on third base.
You didn't even know there was somebody on.
Yeah, that's how I believe it. So then I was able to tell my buddy Hunter, I was like, look, I was 1 for 1 with an RBI.
You'll always have that over his head.
That's right.
So what are you most proud of from looking back on that, all your time at State?
Yeah, I mean, really just the way I approached myself as a teammate. I know that's kind of the answer a lot of people will give, but the accomplishments on the field were great.
You were all SEC, right?
Yeah, I was all SEC 1 year. I think I was an All-American 1 year, but
was that the 13-0 year?
Mm-hmm. But just the way I tried to be a teammate to those around me, I feel like even the year that we were bad, I never wanted to just make it about about me, even in those when I'm not succeeding. Like if I had a bad game or a good game, like I wanted to be still top step of the dugout, trying to root the team. Like it was never like, all right, I'm done. Y'all go finish this game. I'm gonna go in the, recovery room and get some heat on my arm and do this, do that. I was wanted to be there till the very end, and people outside of the field, they remember you for things that you did on the field, but really your teammates, they don't. At the end of the day, they don't remember anything that you did on the field. Like they know if you had a good career or not, but like they don't care about that. Like that's not the person they remember. They remember what you did as a teammate and how you treated people and just the relationships that you had. And those are the people that you really, at the end of the day, that matter more than how the fans view you.
You still have a lot of close friends that you played with?
Yeah. I mean, once you move out and start, it's just you lose connection. That's just with anything in life. We used to have a group message for the Omaha team that we would talk in, and then, people just started having kids, and that kind of changes a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it definitely does. You play with quite a few guys that made it to the big leagues?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the guys I played with ended up making it. Guys that you wouldn't have even really seen as projecting to go there. So,
did you enjoy keeping up with their careers?
Yeah, and I still get to keep up with a few of them.
Who's still playing that you played with?
I think the only two are Frazier and Woodruff. So he got hurt the other day. He was in the game and he was throwing like mid-80s. And they were like, something ain't right. Like this guy throws mid-90s. And I texted him. I was like, man, that's pretty messed up that they sent you down because you threw the same speed as me. But he still got out. I was like, see, maybe I did have a chance.
So once you were done, you took this job at the Face and Body Center marketing. What was that like, all of a sudden not being a baseball player anymore?
I was okay with it. A lot of people struggle with it. I try to make sure my identity was never in the sport itself. I enjoyed it. Like it was some of the best, years of my life. But even my senior year, like I didn't pitch well, but like it didn't like steal my joy. I truly, learned more, I feel like I grew more through my failures a lot of times than I do through my successes, just because it shows you that, hey, my hope isn't in what I can do and how well I perform. It's in something greater and deeper in the Lord. So that just kind of allowed me to kind of see that is a reality in my life.
Where does that faith come from?
Just, through the Lord. Growing up, I was a believer, but you said you may ask me about a book.
Yeah.
This is a book that I wasn't planning on talking about. There was a book that was called A Fan or a Follower. I think that's what it was called. And I could look back at my life and just be like, I was just a fan. Like I knew who God was. Like I could tell you his stats and stuff like that. But like I didn't pursue him. I didn't like have a deep relationship with him. I didn't want to. Everything that I got was just what was given to me, and it wasn't anything personal that I was really, finding myself. So I can remember my junior year in college, or my redshirt junior year. I went to a Passion Conference, and wasn't anything special about it, but one of the things that they said, if there's one thing you could get rid of, what would it be? And I was like, for me, it was just, I was like, it's my music. Like the stuff I listen to is not God honoring. I'm the DJ in the locker room, and I'm professing to be a believer, but I'm playing something that would be completely opposite of anything that I profess to believe. So I was like, I'm just going to delete it all. And so I did that, and then I was like, I really want to start really focusing on my faith. So I ended up getting discipled by a guy that was our baseball chaplain at the time, and just started spending time with him weekly, going through the Word and starting to read it. And I would do my own little Bible study. And at first, it was like, had no clue what I was. Anytime you do something like that, I feel like the Lord's going to make sure that hey, do you really want to do this? Because at first you'd read something and be like, I have no clue what I just read. Mm-hmm. And read it again and be like, let me read it one more time. Maybe this time my mind's not wandering and focused on 10 different things. And then as I just stayed committed to it, I started learning how to, study the Word, and being able to carry that into a bad season made life so much easier for me. And it just allowed me to, again, just see success is not where I find my joy. And I've always been a believer, like, I had more of an opportunity to show my teammates that my faith was real how I responded to failure than success. Because anybody can praise God after hitting a home run or
absolutely
a big game or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's so powerful. And I've talked about this on the podcast before. That's one of the reasons that I want to do this. And this podcast, you found that out a lot earlier in life to me, because when I was done with baseball, I went kicking and screaming, unlike you.
Yeah.
And I was playing independent ball for 2 years, and I got released my second year, and I just did not want to give it up. And it was my identity at that time, and I struggled for a really long time. And now I really like that book that you mentioned. I haven't read it, but it sounds like something I want to check out, like a fan or a follower. And I was probably more of a fan for a really long time, and kind of changing that mindset is what I want to do here. So through your faith, you're able to kind of shed that identity and move on to the next phase in your life. And so you took the job in marketing. So how did that come about?
I was just trying everything. You'd think, man, you had this great career, and now it's like everybody wants to hire you.
Yeah, you would think who wouldn't want to hire Ross Mitchell?
And maybe it was part, like, I never wanted to be like, hey, I need a job, like post about like, I need a job, who wants to hire, kind of use my name as a way to get something. So I probably just went through the normal avenues of, just researching different job openings and stuff like that versus just trying to like get somebody to, do me a favor type thing. I don't know. I don't really remember how it came about. I just know my boss was like, hey, look, when I was meeting with her, and I didn't play golf at the time. Now I play every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
But she was like, I don't want to go play golf with all these doctors and stuff. And like,
so that's what marketing was. And I was your marketing role was playing golf.
I was like, well, I can start, I'm ready to go. So I never played golf one time with that job. So it was what it was. I worked there for, from August to probably December, January. Wasn't for me. I didn't have, I guess the hardest thing when I'm kind of one of those guys that like, you give me something and when I start on it, like I'm going to go all in on it and get it done. Like I'm not like I wouldn't have a lot of tasks. So when I finally got a task to do, I'd be done with it in like 5 hours, and I may not get another task for like a week and a half. And I'm just like, basically just sitting in this desk feeling like I don't have much value to the company. I'm just, and that was kind of hard. You're just watching paint dry to some degree. And then I ended up getting a job with Service Master after that as a salesperson. So that was a little bit different, where I'm outside of the office trying to do a lot of cold calling and building relationships with all these, insurance agents or property managers, and just letting trying to look for opportunity in everything you see around you. So
do you think what you had learned through baseball was starting to help you out in your career, like with sales and doing cold calls? Cold calls can be very draining, and it's just a numbers game.
Yeah, it definitely helped me from a sense of being able to build relationships a little quicker. When people kind of know who you are on the front end, and they usually will ask questions about, baseball and stuff like that. So it did help kind of from a sales standpoint, them to remember me and know what I'm doing and build those relationships, especially if it was someone that was already a big Bulldog fan. Mm-hmm. It helped me get in the door a lot quicker than somebody that they've never met, don't know anything about. Mm-hmm. So it did help me in many ways.
Mm-hmm. So how long were you at that job?
So I started there in 16, and then I went full time with what I'm doing now in 19.
So what led to that?
Yeah, I mean, anytime I'm kind of an entrepreneur, and I say that I don't have just a ton of like businesses and stuff, but my mind's always thinking about
business ideas.
Have
you always been like that?
Oh yeah, I used to get paid in probably second grade. Like, I had a song that I would sing. I was like, if you give me 50 cents, I'll sing this song. And that was how I paid for my snacks at school.
You were doing this at
people were
school?
paying me, I wasn't a singer or anything, but I was like, I was just going to find ways to make some money. But I mean, I've always been a visionary, I guess, to some degree. Like, I got all these ideas of, this revolving restaurant idea.
Tell me about that. What is that?
Well, I mean, you start out, you have to be at like a Orange Beach type place to put this somewhere. But you start out in Mexico, and you got Mexican workers, and that's where you have your chips and your dip and your queso, and it's a timed dinner. So like their first 15 minutes are in Mexico, and as you kind of keep rotating, you find yourself in, we'll say, Italy. Mm-hmm. And now you got Italian workers in this little section of the restaurant, and that's where you order your food, comes out. And then you keep rotating, and you're in China, and you got your desserts and different types of stuff. And then the last place you end up is like in America. You're in like Vegas, and you can spend the rest of the time playing games or whatever it may be. And then,
so are you sitting at a table and it's rotating around?
Yeah,
or are you getting up and walking
you're
around?
sitting at the same table, and it's a timed dinner, so it rotates, and you go to different countries. And
do you have an investor yet?
No, I'm a visionary. I'm not a producer.
You're not an implementer. You need somebody to take that and run with it.
That's right.
So what led you to starting your company now?
Yeah, so I was just eating lunch with a guy that worked at the outlet mall, and he was like, hey, we got to, we were just talking about businesses and stuff, and he's like, yeah, we got to get our parking lot done this many times, every so many years. And was just kind of through that conversation. I remember me and my father-in-law were at dinner one day, and my wife and her sister had some friends, and so we're kind of tucked into the side of the table, and we're like, man, we need to make some mailbox money. I was like, I know. I was like, well, this guy was telling me about this and the margins, and I was like, maybe we should just do it. Maybe we can get this job as our first job. So my father-in-law is not a risk taker at all. Mm-hmm. I'm optimistic to the core, like, oh, this will work out. And if it doesn't, we'll be okay. Like, it'll be fine. Whereas he's like, he thinks of every reason not to do it. So we balance each other out kind of well in a sense. And so I talked him into it. And so our first job ended up being the outlet mall.
So you got the job that guy told you about.
Yeah. So it paid for all our equipment. It got us a truck, and we were still able to make a little bit of money. And I hired a guy that had done it for years that kind of showed us what to do, and I let him run the job. I hired some guys to help him out. And so that's kind of where we started. Working at Service Master, I had built a lot of relationships with property managers and business owners and stuff. So, it was kind of organic. It's like, hey, if you're building floods, give us a call. But also, hey, I'm doing some striping as well. Like, if you ever need anything, and a lot of times we're like, oh, you do that. And just kind of through that, kind of started, building enough business to where, Saturdays and at nights we were staying pretty busy. And we got to a point to where I was busy enough to where I was like, I got to pick one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And my phone keeps dinging. I'm sure I never have it off silent. Okay. I was like, I got to do one or the other. I can't keep doing both just because it's starting to get a little much.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, all right, I got this much money in our business account, and I got this many. I sent them this list. We got this many jobs that we're supposed to be doing, so we should have at the end of it enough to cover my salary through the end of the year. This was sometime in the summer of 19, so we started it in 18. And I was like, I can still maybe like tell my boss, like, look, take me off a salary, any sort of salary, and I'll just work for the commission because I'm gonna do this, but I can still help sell jobs and stuff like that. So they ended up agreeing to it. It's like, all right, well, I'm gonna do this full time, and from went head on with it, and really had to stop working at Service Master after a month. I was like, y'all don't need to even put me on commission because we got busy enough, and I just didn't have time to do anything with them. And I really haven't had to do any sales for the business since.
Really?
So just kind of built relationships and get a lot of word of mouth and referrals, and so it's not I'm not going cold. Every once in a while, if I just see an opportunity, maybe, but I'm not cold calling people and doing sales and hitting that grind.
Yeah.
Which I was thankful for. That was it helped me get to where I am today. But it is a grind.
It's definitely a grind.
You just have to you're just pushing through it every day.
Yeah. It's so fascinating because I've talked to a lot of people about how they started their business, and so you think that it's like this big master plan people have, but in so many instances it's just like this opportunity presents themselves and you're able to see it and jump on it. Like you were just having lunch with this guy and you never thought about paving asphalt or whatever.
No, I never thought this would be my career, but here I am.
Here you are, and it's going well. So what are y'all building towards?
I don't know. I've had that thought many times. So we started out just striping and seal coating parking lots. And then I kind of dabbled into a little bit of repair work. So I started in 2019 full time. In 2020, this guy had been trying to sell me his business for like a year, and he finally hacked it. And I was like, well, and I don't know if it's from COVID, his business got slow or what, but I was like, it's pretty affordable now. So I ended up buying it from him. And really what I bought was, he did paving, which I didn't do any paving at the time. We just did stripe and seal coating and just some patchwork. So what I really bought was the equipment that I needed to be able to perform that, and then I got his crew basically that had the knowledge, and I didn't know anything about paving. So really I was the one on every job that was learning where everybody else, they weren't. They knew what they were doing. They were teaching me. So I had to replace all that equipment pretty quickly. It was in a lot worse shape than I had realized. So since then, all that equipment is gone.
It's gone.
So what I really paid for in the end was really just the knowledge and expertise. And it's really, that's that. And I just kind of grew it organically from there, just kind of step by step, and continued to add guys. At the time, he had 2 of his sons that worked for me, and then there was 2 other guys. So it was a real small crew. Now I got like 9 on a crew, 9 to 10 on a crew. So it's a lot bigger crew, but we're a lot more active, I think, than they were at the time. There's still one of those. Hot Dog is the one guy that still works for me. That was with his crew.
So my producer Rhymes couldn't be here, unfortunately, but he did have one question
about Hot Dog.
No, he wanted to know about the nicknames you have for your crew guys.
Well, yeah, I figured that was coming. There's one in particular he wants me to say, but I'm going to leave out. No, there's Marijuana Dave. That doesn't need much explaining. there's 2 days. One's at Splicit Dave is the other one.
Okay.
And there's the reason I called him that is because whenever we were doing a job at this little shopping center in Jackson, and this guy comes up to me with a mask on, it's COVID at the time, and it's got like F off on the front of it. And I'm like, and he's asking for a job. I'm like, I said, have you, I was like, not hiring. I was like, do you got any experience? He's like, yeah, I worked for this company. And I was like, all right, well, we'll hire you if you got some experience. I was like, but you can't wear that mask. Don't leave that at home.
So you went to ask for a job wearing a mask that said that?
Yeah, that's right. And then we got Cowboy. He's a bull rider. Mm-hmm. He went from writing country rap to riding bulls since he's worked for me. And so he's a full-blown cowboy now.
Wow.
That's probably most of all I can't say one, but if he ever does listen to this, he knows who I'm talking about. That's right.
So let's switch gears a little bit. So you, we talked about faith a little bit, but you're really involved in your church, and I know you got a weekly Wednesday night thing I think you go to, and do you teach Sunday school as well, or you're really involved in the Sunday school? What is that being involved in that community give you that you can't get anywhere else?
Yeah, a lot of it's just accountability. So we meet at Bridgeforth Rutledge's house on Wednesdays, and it's a smaller group, and we just share a meal, and guys split up, girls split up, and just building relationships, talk about real stuff, and just encourage each other. And it holds you accountable as the sense of like, hey, where you been? That question could come, so it keeps you grounded and being consistent. And but I mean, I think that's the body of Christ's purpose, is to edify each other. Mm-hmm. We each have different skills. We each have different things that we can add to any conversation that will impact us. And anytime you can, it's just amazing. We could be in a room with people that outside of those walls would never have a commonality, would never be friends, never have any sort of type of relationship with them. But inside those walls, it's like there's this bond that only can come through Christ, that y'all can edify each other and encourage each other and just have these meaningful relationships that you couldn't find anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned when you were finishing up your baseball career, you wanted to kind of start, you wanted your faith to show up in the locker room. How does it show up for you in business?
Yeah, I mean, especially in asphalt, I mean, there's so many opportunities to take advantage of people. And you just got to it's in the construction world, especially, I mean, just always wanting to make sure you're doing the right and honest thing for the client. I mean, I've had opportunities to, I remember a guy that was like, hey, I get you this job, but I can make sure you get the job, but I want you to pay me $1,000. And, he worked for the company, and I was like, man, if I don't get the job, that's fine, but I can't do that. Like, I don't feel right about it. Or I've had somebody say, look, this guy needs 2 quotes. Can you give him a quote and make it this price so that I can make sure I win? I was like, and his price at the time I thought was just like way high. And I was like, I can't do it. Mm-hmm. And so, and that's another thing, like vice versa. I may have a guy say, hey, look, I need 2 quotes. And I've given him a quote, and he's like, do you have anybody that can give me a quote? And it'd be very easy for me to call so-and-so and say, hey, look, here's what I sent. I need you to do it for this much and make sure, it's higher than me, and send them this quote. And I've really tried to keep myself from doing that and say, look, I've given this guy a quote. Just, if you can give him a quote, just do what you think's honest and fair. Mm-hmm. And if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. So I think that's important. There's always secret ways that you can put yourself in a position to get a job or to inflate a price because you know more to the story than somebody else does. So, I just try to make sure that I'm operating in a way that at the end of the day, I answer to the Lord. Mm-hmm. Like he knows everything that I do. He knows the heart behind it, the intentions. And, at the end of the day, like I have to answer to him. Mm-hmm. And even though a client may be unaware of the situation.
Mm-hmm. I do think he honors that too as well.
Yeah.
So you got a really strong community at your church. You also are really involved at the gym in Coyote. So what does that community do for you? And how are you thinking about your health and fitness currently?
Yeah. So after college, in college, I was forced to work out.
Yeah.
For 5 years. It was like a time deal. Like, hey, this time, we're going to the gym doing this. I got out of college and I was like, man, I don't have anybody telling me what to do. Like, this is great. So working out was not, a priority. It's not something I even interested in. Mm-hmm. And, I was active, I guess, playing softball or basketball, just stuff like that. But I wasn't like lifting or doing anything that was building strength. And, that was 2015 when I got out of college. I tried different things. Like every Christmas, January come around, I was like, all right, I started doing lessons at the club, and they gave me a free membership for doing it. And I tried that, and by February, it's just I couldn't keep it up. Like, mm-hmm. I just had no motivation, nobody pushing me. And then one year I got a tonal. I was like, saw a commercial, LeBron doing these workouts on it. I was like, man, that looks awesome. Uh-huh. And so I was like, maybe if there's somebody in a screen telling me what to do, then I'll be motivated because I at least have something kind of taking me through the workout. Mm-hmm. So I tried that. It was in my garage at the time, and it was like the temperatures in the garage are rarely ideal.
No, especially not where we live.
So, I would usually do it at night because when you're doing it at home and you're in your garage, you got young kids, you're like, all right, I'm going to do my thing. I'll see you in an hour or whatever mm-hmm. it is. But so I kind of, once my membership, you had to pay like $56 a month to keep like the programs going. And once that first year was up, I was like, all right, I'm not doing this enough to justify even paying it. So that thing has not been used in like 4 or 5 years.
You still have it?
Willing to sell it for $3,500. Anybody wants a tonal?
It's on the market.
And then my wife would get mad at me. She's like, you were withering away. Like she'd see me and just kept talking about how little I was getting. And I was like, I'd look in the mirror and be like, I hate to say it, she's so right. And then Bridgeforth, my good friend Bridgeforth, he's one of the guys that's been doing CrossFit for a while with you. And I remember a couple years ago, before I think he invited me to come, and I did the first workout I ever did. I was leading the class through round 1. I don't remember anything about the workout. I just know I was whooping everybody.
Yeah.
And I ended up finishing last. And I sat down trying to just find myself for 10, 15 minutes. Like I was in a very bad spot.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, it was fun, Bridgeforth. It was fun to compete, but
I'm out.
At the time, I was like, I just can't. I can't justify doing this.
Yeah.
So I think another year, maybe 2 years had passed, and I was at Fleet Feet. This was like November. I guess this was the day before Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's the day that y'all do the Terminator.
Yeah.
And I'm at Fleet Feet, and he's going to sign up for the turkey trot. And he's like, hey, come to the gym with me. I was like, I don't know. I don't want to pay to go to that thing again. He's like, no, it's bring a friend day or something like that. And I was like, I don't have any shorts. He's like, I got shorts. I was like,
he's not letting you get off.
I was like, all right, I'll go. So the Terminator, the name presents itself pretty accurately. And not doing anything for probably 2 years since the last time I went in the gym. It was rough. I can remember like doing I think it's the burpees.
The 40 burpees.
The 40 burpees. And just wondering like, I don't know if I can get through this.
Yeah.
And then as I'm going, I can see Bridgeforth I had performance weight. He's like switching the weight off the barbell. He's like, there's no way
he's taking your weight off for you.
Done a power clean this weight. And
Uh-huh.
I can remember Sam Ryden was there that day too. And they're just like pushing me through this workout. They're like, you can do it. You know, I'm like, I literally am like, in my head, there was this thought going on that my body might hit its point and I just can't, I will die. Like,
I literally might die.
I literally felt like my body was at its max, and if I kept going, like, it's just going to shut down. But I ended up finishing it, and then for Christmas, Bridgeforth, I bring him cookies because he's one of my clients. So I give him cookies for Christmas, and he's like, I got you a Christmas present as well. I was like, okay. So I opened it up as a 4-week membership
our Christmas special
to Coyote Fitness. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I was kind of mad that he got me that, because I was like, now I feel obligated to go do these workouts.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I would feel really bad if he gave me this and I only went like once or twice. And I know he spent decent money on it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to just, for these 4 weeks, I'm just going to commit myself to going as many times as I can. I think I went about 2 or 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, I never looked back from there. It's just something about the community that you're with every day. You build these relationships. You're able to, it kind of brings that competition out of you that as a former athlete, like you thrive off of, like you just love to compete.
And you don't really realize how much you miss it until you stop doing it for a while and you kind of get back into it.
Exactly.
Like, man, I really missed this.
That's right. And even the days, like there's some days where I'm like, I'm coming in here, like I'm not trying to beat anybody. I'm sore, like I just don't feel it today. I'm just gonna go at my own pace, not try to compete. And then the timer starts and like you can't help it. You're like, I was really planning on not doing this today.
And then you end up going harder than you have all week. Yeah. Well, I know Bridgeforth had ulterior motives from inviting you.
He probably got a free membership.
No. He wanted to beat you because he knew he had been working out for a while and you hadn't. He's like, Ross was a all SEC baseball player, but I can beat him in the gym, so I'm going to get him in here on the hardest workout possible.
That's right. He succeeded for a short period of time. By the time my free membership ran out, his days were up. But I tell him all the time, he's 50-something years old, so don't take it personally.
All right, so I sent you a few questions, and I know you've been hemming and hawing over this first one for a while now, but these are 5 questions I ask everybody that comes on. What are 2 books that you loved and or had a big impact on you?
Yeah, so I kind of told you this was a tough one for me. I don't read a lot. I will start a book and I rarely finish it. Not because I don't like the book, because for me to sit down and read, like I have to make it like a legit routine of my day. Like, all right, at this time I'm going to read, and once that gets altered by life's events, it just becomes out of my mind, and I won't ever pick the book up again. I do know me and my wife read The Meaning of Marriage before we got married, and that was a good book just to be able to kind of open your eyes to the reality that you're about to step into. Some of the the things that they have learned through their marriage that they know you'll experience, and just being able to take some of those pieces and just bring, have your mind prepared for those things, because when you get married, everything changes.
Oh, yeah.
Like even the person you dated changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could date somebody for 3 years, but the moment you're married, it's just a different reality that y'all step into when you're living with each other every day. And you get to just see them completely for who they are. There's no hiding, there's no putting on your best self 24/7.
Oh, definitely not.
So that was a good one. There's another one that I've enjoyed. It's called Habits of the Household. And it's just very practical things of habits that you try to implement in your home that make it a better place, for your kids. And it's one of those books that you need to just keep reading to remind yourself, hey, I should do this. There's a lot of benefits, and it impacts just your children in mighty ways by implementing these little things. But it's just so hard to stay consistent with those unless you really say, hey, this is who we are. This is like, we're going to make this a part of our fabric of our family. And it's amazing how, like, you can do something. I was talking about this with somebody the other day. Like, it's amazing how you can do something, you implement it, you see the fruits of it, life gets busy, you get away from it, and you look back and you're like, man, why did we stop doing that? Like, that was so fruitful. That was so impactful for our family. And then it's like, we should do it, but then it's like getting back to it is just as hard as like, and you're like, why are we not doing it now?
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird how
habits are
way.
Habits are so interesting because they're really hard to acquire, but then once you get them, they're easy to do. But then if you stop doing it, it gets really hard to pick it back up. So being intentional about what habits you said. I haven't really thought about habits in a family dynamic. I've always just thought about habits for myself, but I've never really thought about what habits are my wife and I and my girls doing consistently. And that's something that you can be intentional, because you're going to have habits, either good or bad. And if you're intentional about what you do. Well, you told me you wrote a children's book. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, me and my wife were on a walk one day, and I was like, I wrote a book called There's a Puppy in the Window. And I haven't finished it. I need 2 pages, I think, just to be finished. But I don't know. I'm having trouble with them. I don't think I'll ever do anything with it. But every time I read it read it to myself or read it to somebody, I was like, man, this is so good.
Well, I hope you finished.
That was not. That was me shifting in the chair, by the way.
I
give you. You want an excerpt of it?
Yes, please do.
Okay, I'll give you a couple pages.
I hope you finish it. I want to read it. Who's doing the illustrations on this book?
I was gonna maybe let Lori Rutledge do it. She likes to draw, an artist. There's a puppy in the window when the sun comes up, waiting for the day to begin and the children to wake up. That's page 1. There's a puppy in the window watching the morning dew dry, wagging his tail at all the workers who honk as they drive by. I wish I would have wrote them in order of the pages instead of randomly. Let's see. There's a couple really good ones. All right. There's a puppy in the window with his tongue hanging out because he's the next stop on the mailman's route. There's a puppy in the window with his ears perked up because the neighbors are walking with their pretty little pup. There's 3 more I got so far. There's a puppy in the window who's no longer alone because the workday is over and his family is home. There's a puppy in the window jumping up and down because dinner is served, which means scraps on the ground. And the last one, there's a puppy in the window in the midnight moon, looking forward to the morning, knowing it's coming very soon. I mean, that's pretty good.
Look at you, Ross.
Now, somebody's going to listen to this, and I'm going to be reading it to my kid one day and be like, that could have been me.
Yeah, it could have been me. That could have stolen your whole book. You better go ahead and copyright it and get it out there.
But I'm like, I think I need 2 more pages and then
some drawings, and you'll be good to go.
But
you can self-publish that on Amazon, too.
That's right.
All right, so second question. What's a piece of advice that really stuck with you?
I thought about that. I told you earlier, my personality is like entrepreneurial, big idea, but I'm not like a big retainer of information. Like, I get the information I need, but I don't like absorb it in a way that I can always come back to it. It's like I get it for the moment, use it,
and then lose it.
But one thing my mother-in-law always says, and I'll say it a lot of times, is trash in, trash out. Mm-hmm. So I have to think about that. And, the more I think about it, I'm like, it's convicting because I'm like, especially with shows you watch and different things, you're like, there's really nothing about this show that is good for me. But it's also such a true statement. I mean, I think about my spiritual journey and getting rid of the music that I listen to. Like, the moment I got rid of that trash that was going in, it really did start to change my heart and change the way that I walked with the Lord, to the point that I would like hear some of the stuff that I would play and be like, I cannot believe that I used to listen like this. I let this into my life.
And you don't even
and
really
became numb to it.
You're not really even paying attention to what they're saying. You're just listening to it, and then you get away from it for a while, and you're like, oh my gosh! Like if you're playing if my wife and I are playing a song for our girls, and all of a sudden I'm like paying attention to the lyrics, I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah. But it's a true statement. It's so true. What you put into your life is eventually going to show itself in different ways.
That's really good. What's the hardest season of your life that you're now most grateful for?
Yeah, there's really 2 that I thought of. So me and my wife got married in November of 15. In March of 16, I remember we were going to watch a Mississippi State baseball game. I think it may have been February because I feel like it was like opening weekend. And so we're at the game. She's like, I don't feel good. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I just feel like I'm running a fever. I was like, we drove all this way. I'm like so pumped to watch the, opening weekend or whatever it is. And you're going to make us have to go home. So we went home, and the next day she's like, I don't feel good. I was like, happens all the time. Like, tomorrow I'm sure you'll wake up and be fine. Just take some medicine. Not understanding her, I guess, at this point as newlyweds. So then the next day she went to the doctor to go get checked for the flu or whatever, and she didn't have any of that. But so they were like, let's just get some blood work just to kind of look at it. So they got some blood work, and her liver enzymes were elevated. So they're like, we're going to get you looked at. And so they ended up, she went to the, I don't know if it was the ER at the time, but they got her a room, and they sent her down to get, have like a surgery to basically drain the not abscess, but the elevated, whatever was the infection was that was in there. And I guess when they did that, it got into her blood system. And so I remember we were down there, she had just got done with surgery, and like she was just like freezing cold, like to the point where like this is not normal cold. Like she was shaking like crazy. And we're like, nobody's around. It's just me, her mom, and dad just standing there. Like, we didn't know what to do. And we're like looking for a doctor, like, what's going on, So anyways, we get her upstairs finally, and they like, next thing they see her, and it's like code whatever. And it's just like doctors, nurses coming in from nowhere. And she had went septic. And so they're like all coming in trying to get her body temperature back. And we're at St. Dominic, so next thing you know, there's a nun up there like praying with us. And so that moment hits you, and you're like,
oh my gosh,
you're just thinking the worst case scenario, because especially when the nun comes up there and she starts praying with you.
Oh yeah.
So just a super scary moment. But it, we ended up being at the hospital for like a month. To the point we knew like what day they were having what food. We were there that long. And she ended up having an abscess or like, I don't know the details of it, but in one of her GI tracts, they were able to find like an abscess that was like a slow growing one that they were able to remove. Never had to have any treatment, any chemotherapy or anything like that. All good results since. So it was like something that was typically found in like an older patient. But the GI doctor was actually finally able to find it after really a month of not knowing what was going on. So it was just kind of a lot of confusion, like what caused this. And but you grow, so like we had just gotten married, weren't really ready for that kind of experience, but like you go from your honeymoon to wiping her butt because she can't wipe her butt. So it really allows you to kind of grow pretty quick and experience like true life together in a way that could have taken 15, 20 years for a married couple to experience. And again, kind of taking the faith standpoint, is like that was some of the most joyful time, even though it was a scary time and a lot of uncertainty. Like that hospital time was like something I always remember, and it's not bad memories. It's like one of those things that like I would never want her to walk through that again, but I'm so thankful that we got to. So I just look back on that and just not in a negative light, but in a light of, man, we got to grow so much and as a couple. Wow. Now we did have aspirations at that time. We were like, we may move to this city or this city after she gets done with school. And I think having her parents around, she's like, we're staying here. I was like, I guess that answers that. Long term.
Yeah, guess I'm stuck here now.
Yeah, but then another instance was my son. We adopted him. But before that, we had 2 adoption opportunities that did not go through. That one, the lady kind of scammed us basically. She wasn't ever even pregnant, but we had given her money and set up a room for this child that we thought we were bringing home. And so it was like just this devastating experience. And then we get another opportunity. This lady was pregnant. We actually went and met her, and Massey just didn't have a good feeling about it. And I, at that moment, was like, I just want to finalize an adoption. Like, I don't care. I was like, I was going to put trust in whoever. I was going to be naive to what was going on because I was so blinded by just this desire to adopt. And then, thankfully I listened to my wife, and we ended up bringing Theo home. And it's like, I couldn't imagine not there having any child in my family besides him. Like I couldn't, it would feel weird for one of these other 2 to have worked out, because that means he wouldn't be my child. And it just reminds me that like God's timing is so much better than ours. The wait was so much better because I see the fruit of the wait now. And I had an opportunity with a buddy of mine I played high school baseball with that was adopting, and they had a similar experience, and I was able to confidently tell them, like, look, I promise you, you will realize when you do bring your child home that God's timing was perfect, and like you will be so thankful that this other one didn't go through. So just 2 different experiences. Like,
what was the adoption process like with Theo?
At first, we tried to go through like a attorney, and some attorneys will give you different situations, and you could, if there's one that you're interested in, you would tell them to send them your profile book that kind of showed about your family. And so we got connected through those. The problem with that is there's not much of a relationship with the parents. These are hence one wasn't even pregnant through that situation. And we would have gone a different route after the first one, but they were like, we're going to try to help you since, without a fee since this happened. But you find yourself spending so much money going through that route when there's just not a lot of security and safeguards around the situation. And then the second time, or with Theo, we went through a local lady that operates off the coast, and she actually has a relationship with the mom. She counsels them. She's a lot smaller, but she doesn't make you pay birth mother fees, which can be expensive unless the adoption actually does go through. So after having that experience where we lost money and, we're basically paying these birth mother fees that we thought were kind of weird at the time, like letting her handle that and kind of knowing that we're not going to be putting our emotions in all these waves as we're, trying to take care of the mom and let her take care of the mom in that moment was a lot.
How old was he when you got him?
So we were there when he was born.
Oh,
so
really?
He was 0
0
days.
Wow. Where did your desire to adopt come from?
So I have 2 brothers that were adopted.
Okay.
We adopted them. They were from Ethiopia when they were 3 and 4. I was in college at the time. So they had been, gotten to experience like the impact of adoption firsthand. So I knew that was something that I wanted to do personally. And when me and Massey got married, we talked about it, and we even said we would love to adopt first, before we have kids, just because there's nothing wrong with adopting after you have kids, but that's the typical route of hey, well, we've had our kids, now we want to just, have another kid, but we want to go through the adoption process. But just to be able to tell Theo, look, you were the first one that we thought of. You weren't we've had our family, now we want to add one. It's you were the priority from the beginning. And being able to tell him that. And then when Massey got sick, she would have to have scans every 6 months just to make sure that nothing was coming back, and they'd have to give a dye that they didn't want her to do those scans and be pregnant. So it kind of just solidified that even more, that we'll adopt first and then have kids later on.
Wow. So what's something about you that would surprise people who think they know you?
Most people probably see me as this real outgoing, don't really care what people think person, but you find me at a wedding, I will not put myself out there. I get really stiff, and I don't know what it is. I don't think I'm self-conscious. Massey's quit being so self-conscious about what people think about you. I'm I really don't think I am, but that situation just locks me up, and I'm not the same person that I am anywhere else.
Just in weddings particular?
Especially wedding. Anywhere there's a little bit of dance. I think it's the dancing. It takes so much to get my body to start moving. But if I was in a locker room, I'm a great locker room dancer.
Thus being the DJ.
Exactly. But, it's weird how certain little environments take you out of your element. And I get to the gym and it's I'm just myself, and I'm pretty, don't feel like I have to hide anything. But then I get to a wedding and it's just I just stiffen up.
And last one, what are you most competitive about that has nothing to do with your career?
Honestly, probably CrossFit and probably golf. Those are the 2 things that I do consistently that is competition. As I said, I may go to the gym and be I'm taking it easy today. I don't care. I'm not going to try to beat anybody, but then boom. the switch flips, right? Yeah, I remember I was, to the point where you find 2 of the most elite athletes in the gym. I remember I was talking to Steven Soller because, anyways, I was talking to Steven. I was I wonder if I took one other person and we did a double, a Wednesday workout over a certain amount of period, I feel like I could compete against you and Tim Bell. And he was like, Steven's confident.
He's the one that'll take you up on just about any bet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So I was like, all right, Tyler Moore, he's a good buddy of mine. I was like, I know you didn't sign up for this, but you're in. Of course, he couldn't make week 1, so I had to pick up Lee Swindle.
Yeah.
And we lost with Lee. It was probably my fault, though, but I can recall going so hard in one of those Wednesday workouts, which are supposed to typically be a little bit easier, that I had to get a haircut right where Tuk Tuk Boom is, which is not even a mile away. Mm-hmm. I pulled over at Foxtails because I couldn't see where I was driving. I was so blurry vision from just trying so hard. And I will say we stopped the competition after 4 weeks because, not because of me really, but we realize we're a bunch of men that are literally putting our bodies.
We're going to kill ourselves if we
to
keep
the
going
point where this is miserable because we want to win so bad.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a 2-2 tie. We're just like, we can't do this to ourselves anymore.
The partner workouts can be the worst because you end up getting rest and you don't want to let your partner down, and they can put you in a bad spot. Mm-hmm. Before we move to the last section, I had 2 more baseball questions I thought of that I wanted to ask you. Number one, you played in the alumni game last year. What was that experience like, and especially being able to play in front of your kids?
Yeah, so that was something that I'll always remember. One, I never got to play in the new stadium, so just being on that field, just a completely different experience than the old Dudy Noble. Just incredible. But having my kids there, I'm thinking we had one that I don't even know. She may have been 1 at the time, but I'm like, this is a 7:30 game, and I'm not pitching till the last inning, so it's like 11 o'clock, I feel like, before I even get on the mound. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, my 1-year-old's not even never going to get to watch me pitch. Mm-hmm. But I remember being in the bullpen about to get, warming up to go in, and there's my 1-year-old wide awake. I'm like, what is she doing awake?
She should be asleep.
Like, she's supposed to be dead asleep right now. She's like, my wife's like, you could tell she was struggling because she was – should have been asleep. Mm-hmm. But we were watching the super regional a couple of days ago, and my 4-year-old daughter was like, I saw you on that TV like that. Wow. And it was just hearing that, it was kind of cool to be like, yeah, you did see me on that really TV. Cool. Like, and they don't, to them, I'm just their dad. Mm-hmm. They went to go to a game, saw me, cool. Mm-hmm. Now it's time to put them to bed and, have a typical day. Like, so it's cool that the same, but although it was just me being their dad, nothing special. Mm-hmm. I'm just their dad, but also, hey, I saw you on that. Like, there's still a little bit of that memory of like them, that kind of clicking for them.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. And then the last baseball question I have for you, and you and I were talking about this the other day, how much has the game changed for college baseball, SEC specifically, since you played? And it hadn't been that long. Yeah,
I mean, I tell people I'm so thankful I played when I did because there's nobody that throws 83 miles an hour in the SEC. Mm-hmm. So it kind of did – the game's changed to where it has opened up. It did opportunities that I had then would probably be closed. So I'm thankful for that. I told you I gave up 5 home runs my whole career in 300 innings, and I watched 20 in 2 games.
It's unreal.
And it's just like every swing you're looking, you're like, that ball's, they're trying to hit a home run. And maybe they did that, maybe they didn't when I played, but it's just the power, everything's just power. From a pitching standpoint, they're just trying to throw it hard, put as much spin on the ball as they can. As a hitter, they're just trying to, it's power versus power. Mm-hmm. Which for me, I remember in college, I was like, I want to be the best in the world, in the SEC, in college baseball at this specific thing. Like, for me, it was like, I want to be better than anybody else out there at being able to get early contact ground balls. Mm-hmm. Like, and I don't think pitchers have that mindset anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, each pitcher needs to find what is their identity. Like, I want to be the best at being able to locate an inside fastball, but I think everybody's just it's like anybody you put up there, there's very few that you're like, this guy's different than that guy. Mm-hmm. It's like the same guy just over and over that's being thrown out there. So it's like, I think people are trying to like basically be a certain person instead of being their own person. Mm-hmm. And that makes it probably easier on the hitters because it's like, well,
they're seeing the
same guy over and over.
96 is hard, but if you're seeing 96 every single pitcher, then you're going to get used to it.
Yeah. So you got to, for anybody that does play, like, what can you be better at from a pitching standpoint than anybody else? Mm-hmm. Same thing as any sort of athlete in anything, like football player. Like, nobody is able to tackle a guy, first try than me. Like, mm-hmm. I'll never let anybody go. I don't know much about tackling in football, but just trying to have an identity that sets you apart, mm-hmm. and something that you can be confident in, and that part of your game,
and really lean into that specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was telling you this, my thoughts on college baseball specifically. I feel like, number one, the level of training has gotten so much more advanced than when I played, and guys are training at a very high level in a very smart way now, and the quality of the swings are a lot higher as well. And I think you watch every single guy, like, especially in the SEC, like, they look like major league swings now, and it didn't ever used to be that way. And then the third is these guys are bigger. Like, mm-hmm. they are big. Like, I was watching Oregon play. It looked like a football team out there playing. Yeah. Like, and the Georgia State game, those two games, I've never seen anything like that in my life in college baseball. It was unreal. And they weren't just hitting home runs. Yeah. They were hitting them, like, over the batter's eye, like, mm-hmm. 150 feet out. So it was fun to watch. I'll be interested to see how Georgia does at Omaha, because I know the ball flies at Georgia a little bit better than it seems like other places. But all right, so let's move on to the last section. So you're married with kids now. We kind of talked about that. What has fatherhood done to the way that you think about grit, building, and what actually matters?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely requires you to think less about yourself. You're not, before being a father, and even as a young married couple with no kids, like, you can kind of just do what you want to do. Like, if I want to go play basketball with some friends at 8 o'clock on a Monday, like, or 6 o'clock on a Monday, whatever time on a Monday, like, that's something I can go do. I'm sure my wife will go do what she wants to do. Mm-hmm. And so you definitely have to, basically sacrifice your time a lot more. Thankfully, I've, got a job that allows me to have flexible time, which is a blessing, just and a curse sometimes when you run the business, because you have to remind your wife, like, I know you're used to me being very flexible, but today I do need to be here. To do something. But overall, just, a blessing. But being a father, it's a grind. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of grit. I mean, you're having to, get in the middle of it every single day, and kids are emotional roller coasters. So you're having to read every situation to figure out what kind of response you're going to get, and it's just a learning experience. But as they get older, and they go through so many different age stages, and as they're young, it's crazy. You get, when we had a 4 and a 2-year-old, and you're like, man, this is not too bad anymore. Mm-hmm. But then you have another one, it's like you're right back in the grit of it. And our life group leader, he's an older guy that's been through it all and has a grandchild, and he's always like, promise you, y'all are in the thick of it right now.
Yeah.
And you just gotta give yourself grace and remind yourself of that. But there's nothing better than it though. Like, just to just be a part of raising a family, and the blessings and the fruit of it are just great.
What do you want to be intentional about passing on to your kids?
Yeah, I mean, for me, and this isn't something I'm good at, something I try to be better at, is really just the quality of the time I spend with them. And with my son, it's hard when you have 2 girls and a boy. It's like you get home and Massey may be trying to cook, and you'd like to just spend some good father-son time, but then it ends up being father-son, daughter. It's just being able to have intentional time with each kid is important, but it's hard to do. Mm-hmm. But that's something that I wish that I would do better at, is for them to look back one day and say, when he was with me, he was with me. Mm. And that's hard for me. One, I'm always thinking about what we got for tomorrow business wise. Like, I have a job that requires me to coordinate each day, think about everything. Like, I'm kind of I haven't hired anybody that kind of I have people that run the job for me, but not the day-to-day of the operation. So the downfall of that is, when you're home, you're always got other things going through your mind. Mm-hmm. And then just as a society, we've used our cell phones have just kind of bankrupted a lot of our focus and time that, needs to be spent on our family. So I hope one day, and as I improve on it, that they're like, when my dad was with me, like, he was with me. And I don't think they would say that today, but I hope I do get to the point where that's something that's passed on.
I think that's something we can all improve on for sure. So what kind of advice would you give to somebody who was in the situation you were, maybe when they got to state and just kind of trying to find their way, see if they're going to be a fit on the team, and not sure if it's going to work out or not?
It's so hard now with the portal. I mean, I didn't have really the portal. For me, it was, if you left, it was to take a step backwards. It was to go to junior college and kind of work your way back up to that point. But like, because I had to grind for it, like, the players that people remember, I mean, think of Bryce Chance, for example. Like, Ace Reese, one of our best players, he doesn't get a send-off, even though everybody knows that's his last game at state. But Bryce had worked to get to where he was. Like, not that Ace didn't work to get to where he was, but, there's so much power in just working to get the playing time, and just there's so many fruits and benefits of that. I mean, I think it grows you as a man. It teaches you, a little bit about yourself in the process. I just think there's so many benefits that allow you to kind of to grow in yourself, versus just moving around to find an opportunity that's best for you instead of making the best out of each opportunity. It's something that's easy for me and you to say, because we didn't have that opportunity the way it's presented now. It's easy for me to say I would have just stayed, and like I said, if I don't play, I don't play. I think I would say that I would stay because of that, but also, I didn't have $100,000 being thrown in my face, and
that changes the conversation.
It definitely changes the conversation. So it's not fair for me to sit here and say that I wouldn't do the same, but I do think there's so many benefits to working to get to playing time, or working to get whatever it is you're going for. I think it keeps you motivated in a different way.
Well, Ross, man, this was an amazing conversation. I really appreciate you coming on. So where can people find out what you're doing and follow along with your journey?
Not really many places. I don't have like a website, and I don't really post anything on Facebook. But
so they can't do business with you then?
No, that's all word of mouth, baby.
If you don't know me, you can't work with me.
But my company's name, I hadn't even mentioned my company. It's Magnolia Asphalt. We do mostly parking lots. We do some driveways here and there, but any sort of new construction and parking lot work, we do. I don't really do a lot of road work. Try not to be have too much oversight. You know what I mean? But we, you know, got a great group of guys that have been working with me for a while now. We've kind of built a little family. Just it's just crazy to just kind of look back and see how much life you've done with your coworkers. Mm-hmm. But so Magnolia Asphalt, I am on Google, but so you can, if you go there, you can get my phone number and call me, and be happy to look at anything that you got that you need help with.
Awesome. Well, Ross, thanks so much, man.
All right. Thank you.